$60 million bucks. 4 years banned from bowl appearances, and I believe for 4 years they have scholarships down from 25 to 15. Do you think that's a good punishment?
You know, you want to sit here and say, is there really any punishment severe enough for what happened? Like, let's be honest. Like, I mean, when you really sit here and think about it, is there any punishment that really, really is worth what took place in this building? And the answer to me is all a matter of what pair of shoes you're wearing. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're a member of the family that was affected by these tragic events, then to you, no, this is nowhere near close enough to a good enough penalty. If you're, you know, from my point of view, though, I think this is good. You literally, you literally sit there and have $60 million fine. Now, this fine is considered to be
$1 million, all the revenue that the football program would have brought in
off of 1 year worth of football. $60 million. Okay. Now that you could, nitpick and say, well, if you're going to ban them for 4 years and take scholarships away from 4 years, why not fine them worth of 4 years?
Wow. But taking $240 million bucks away, that's
you
tough,
take $240 million away from a university. Well, now you're not just hurting the football program. Now you're hurting the school as a whole. And the students that don't play football, that don't play sports at all, should not be affected by this tragic situation.
Al Money writes in the chat room, honestly, why didn't anyone do anything back then? I know that if anyone touched me, I would have been like, yo, this person touched me.
Let's not use the exact word he used.
This person touched me. I'm from the hood. I would have killed him. Well, people act differently according to the situation. My man Jerry Sandusky back in the day was very, very powerful on that campus, as well as Joe Paterno. And when Mike McQuarrie saw what was going on, he went to Joe Pa. He went to Joe Pa and was like, "Yo, this is what's going on. What are we gonna do?" And Joe Pa was like, "You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna give you a job. You're going to be a coach." That's what they told him.
That's what you're going to get,
Dude, McQuarrie got the job. I can't.
And McQuarrie's the redheaded guy you see on TV. I just want people to know.
Mike McQuarrie's the guy who saw Sandusky in the shower back in 2002 with a kid. And pretty much, from what I understand, he was going for a coaching or a recruiting position with the team that he had no chance to get, and all of a sudden he comes out of everything with getting the job. So Joe Paterno probably back in the day was like, "Yo, kid, you keep your mouth shut. I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna hook you up, or you're gonna have a good life. Just keep your mouth shut about my friend."
Yeah, pretty much. And it's funny because you sit here, like I'm looking at the fines, and I'm like, all right,
good.
This is penalty on the school, penalty on the school, penalty on the football program. None of this stuff, if you look at it just for what it is, you're going to sit there and say, none of this affects Joe Paterno, right? But I think that as soon as you took that statue down, and now you're this was the one that, to me, if Paterno was still alive, would eat at him so badly. Bro, is vacating all those wins from 98 to 11.
If Paterno were still alive, he'd be going to jail. All of them are going to jail. The president of Penn State, the athletic director, they're all going to jail. They're all facing criminal charges.
Yeah, and Sandusky's the only one that's already been arraigned and all that. And I don't even think he's actually been locked up yet. I don't think so either. Put in, but I don't even know if he's been sentenced yet. But what I do know is I think...
Wow, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, Miss Doobie put into the chat room that the media killed Paterno. Sorry, sweetheart. Paterno killed Paterno.
I think she means actually like the actual death of Paterno. All the media coverage
literally killed him?
Yeah.
My bad, sweetie. If that's what you meant.
Yeah, and if that's the point Marissa's making, I think she has a really good point, because you know what? This guy was already old. He was already sick. He was already on the last legs of his life. And I think all the I can actually agree with that. All those negative things that happened, all those, all the media coverage, the people outside his house, all the constant things being said about him, and probably the stress, as Joey pointed out before, Sandusky was a close friend. So probably the stress of watching his close friend go through this stuff also got to him. With the vacated wins, Joe Paterno moves from 409 to 298, dropping him from 1st to 12th on the winningest NCAA football coach list. That's from Arash Markazi on Twitter. Shout out to Arash Markazi. And retweet Joey's tweet, because that's an awesome tweet Joey just wrote. Yeah. Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, I don't know. That actually came out of nowhere to me. That's pretty cool. Not cool, but that's interesting to find out. Like I said, I really think that the sanctions and the vacated wins and the lost trophy would probably hurt Paterno even more than going to jail, especially considering the man's age. He probably wouldn't really have lasted too long in jail, to be honest. I mean, it's not like the healthcare system that goes inside of a jail is very good.
Actually, bluffed. They have better healthcare system than we do. I don't have insurance. If you're in jail, you get treated better than I do. It's true.
Oh man, that is actually true.
That's why,
they
bro.
have to make sure you get your pills. You have to make sure you get
homeless
it.
people. Sometimes homeless people will just do anything to go to jail because it's better than living out on the streets. They take care of you in jail.
I can't argue with that. I think I'd rather live in jail than live on the streets as well.
Anyway, though,
and I'm very thankful I don't have to deal with either one of those. But I think the vacated win's pretty big. I think that if Paterno actually knew he was dropping to 12th in the all-time win list, that probably would have really bothered him. And if I was a hardcore Joe Pa committed fan, that'd bother me too. But I think it's well-deserved. I don't think any of these penalties are overboard. Some people say they should have got the death penalty.
They probably should have. I don't know, though. I mean, that's tough to say. But the one good thing that comes out of all this is that even though it sucks to be the athletes today in Penn State, especially the football team, because they now are dealing with the repercussions of everything that happened 10, 15 years ago. But at least they're not going to be penalized by the NCAA if they transfer. Now, they're able to transfer to any school that they want and
play this year.
And play this year. So that is definitely a good thing.
Somebody made a good point, though, about the fact that could be really hard for some students because a lot of college coaches, for the most part, have their team set. I mean, opening game for college football is a month away. They play August 30th is their opening day. So, I mean, they're literally almost just a month away from college football kicking off. So, somebody made a good point of how if a kid transfers and wants to play right away, there's not even a guarantee he gets on that team. But what they did say is that kids that transferred, even if they couldn't play this year, their scholarships would be respected by the NCAA, which means so you still get penalized because you missed football, but at least you're not all of a sudden going to school for free to owing $40,000 for the year. I mean, that's a big difference in somebody's life. Trust me, from somebody still trying to figure out how to pay off college loans. It's not easy, but these guys have an opportunity to get away from this situation. And some of these guys who are, maybe to me more than anything, the seniors, the guys that had 2-3 years with Paterno, these are the guys that I wouldn't be surprised if they stay, even if they can't make a bowl game.
That's true.
Just because it's like, I'm a Penn State Nittany line. They don't look at it as anything else. That's how they see it.
It's going to be so tough for this football program, though, to rebound, as well as it should. It needs to be built from the ground up again. But think about it. 4 years of lost scholarships. If you're the recruiting coach, if you're the recruiter, how are you going to sell these kids to come to Penn State for 4 years? You can't go to a bowl.
Yeah, as a recruiter, this has got to be like the hardest freaking thing to do. You got to go up to kids and explain to them, especially the kids starting this year. Like, they're lucky they got whatever freshmen in there that are willing to stay. Because think about it, the next group of kids that you're going to go recruit, you guys sit there and say to them, well, you would have to wait till your senior year to have an opportunity to play in the bowl game. And that's saying we're good enough to make a bowl game. And they'll be in the playoff system by that point.
Tim, Marissa writes in our chat room that they're going to be Division II team soon. That's impossible, but...
Hey, they can't. I don't know
It's
if they can
impossible.
do
They
that
can't-
just
they
for
can't
the
just
size of the university.
That for one, and for two, I think the football player. I don't think you can just make football Division II and then everything else Division I.
No, yeah, but
I don't think you
because
can.
it's all based on the size of your university. And once you break a certain amount of students at your school,
I see what she meant. She meant like the quality of players, I believe.
Yeah, well, if that's what she was going with, then Marissa is right on point, in my opinion, because they are not going to get these top prospect kids. They're going to get kids that
one of their kids, one of the top prospects that they got, already pulled out. He's going to North Carolina instead.
Yeah, UNC. But, yeah, not for that great reason. That's terrible. But you guys know what I'm trying to say. I think that this is one of those things that you just got to sit there and pretty much say to yourself, I am glad I am not connected with this school. This is a situation where, somebody actually just writes on Twitter that you could see there's a good chance that a lot of kids leave school, leave Penn State because of what happened compared to USC, who got the penalties because of the Bush thing, and a lot of kids stayed on campus. But think of the campus. Think of the difference in where you are. You're in Southern California. You're a 20-minute ride from the beach. You're right down from downtown Los Angeles. Like, as a 18 to 22-year-old kid, let's be serious. You're not going to just up and leave Southern California. Like, there's more that can convince you to stay there than Penn State.
Yeah.
Just the surrounding area, the city, the atmosphere is enough to keep 18 to 22-year-old kids there.
Penn State's going to have to rely on their alumni. That's what it's going to be. They're going to have to push hard for kids, come to play football from their alumni. That's the only thing that they're going to have for the next 3-4 years. And hopefully they're going to have kids who want to be a Nittany Lion because their family were Nittany Lions and just continue the tradition. And hopefully there'll be some kids that say, hey, I want to rebuild this football program. And we're going to do it the right way.
That's what you got to hope for. You got to hope. That's what, you know what? That's perfect. I don't even need to repeat it. You said that perfectly. The fact of the matter is they're going to have to rely on alumni and family of alumni to come in and be committed to rebuilding the school's image and be committed to rebuilding the school's football program and not worrying about individual attention or individual opportunities. They are going there to help rebuild something that is very important to them and their family. So that's what Penn State's going to be relying on. They did keep Paterno's name on the library. They did that strictly out of the fact of everything that he did do positive for the school as well.
No, I don't think it has anything to do with that. They wanted to actually take down the name, but because the Paterno family dedicated $4 million to putting the name onto the library, I believe the school would have to give back the money in order to take the name down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what I read was they left his name on the library as a compromise considering his positive contributions to the university. But that sounds like a pretty bow tie for what you said.
And I think that is a pretty bow tie.
That's what that sounds like.
Bow tie.
But that's what that sounds like. That sounds like a pretty little bow tie that they wanted to put on the ugly truth, which is actually probably what Joey said, of the fact that they donated money to get his name on the library, and the school doesn't want to pay that money back considering they're out $60 million this year alone. And not to mention what they'll probably lose in ticket sales, what they're going to lose in apparel sales, what they're going to lose. They're going to this school is going to take a big, big hit. The funny thing is, somebody thinks that Penn State tried to take down the statue in hopes that they wouldn't get as severe of a penalty from the NCAA, and I'm like, really? You think the NCAA is sitting there saying, well, they got the statue still up. I think we should teach them even harder of a lesson. Come on. The NCAA is sitting there saying, you guys have literally gotten caught for letting a guy molest children on your campus. I don't care if you have a statue there or not. We're going to come down with the hammer. That's what we're going to do. But I actually like this better than the death penalty. The death penalty is where they suspend football from the school for whatever time they decide to suspend football for. Usually it's at least 1 year. I like this better than the death penalty strictly for the fact that some of the kids that play football, dude, that's their escape, that's their passion, that's their love, that's their opportunity to get away from schoolwork and homework and all that kind of junk, and you don't take that away from them. You should not. People that were not anything relatively close to what happened should not be getting punished for the things that these people did. But yet, at a certain extent, they just have to, because many suffer from the mistakes from a few. That's just how this world works.